Hi everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is actually going to be my tribute to LRC217. As I believe most of you by now know, we lost her this week. And I felt I'd like to share with you. She was a sub of mine, and I would call her a YouTube friend. Never met Laurie, but she was in my chats. And because of that, I have lots of things I'd like to share. So I think I want to start by telling you a little story. My grandmother passed away in 2012. I was a very lucky girl. I had amazing relationships with both of my grandmothers, and both of them, I was 50 plus when I lost first the one I'm going to talk about and then my other one. But I had had several surgeries in 2012, and I had gone in for a partial hysterectomy on a Tuesday, and that night I lost my grandma. I got a phone call the next morning while I'm in the hospital from someone that didn't know I didn't know, and I didn't know. My husband and my parents were on the way to the hospital to tell me, because everyone knew this was going to be a hard blow for me because of how close I was with my grandma. But they weren't there yet. So I got off the phone. I'm in the hospital on pain meds, and the nurse comes in and I'm crying. She says, are you hurting? And I'm like, yes, but not because of the surgery. My grandma passed. And she said, oh, sorry, and I'll be right back. Well, she left the room, and she didn't come right back, but another woman came in. Her name was Karen. And Karen came in to sit with me. She informed me she was one of the chaplains of the hospital. And because when you fill out your application admittance forms for going into the hospital, there's a place that asks for religious affiliation. So I had put down my home church. But the way the chaplains work, it could be anyone. They rotate from all different religions to take a day at the hospital to help people like me. So Karen sat down, and lo and behold, Karen was from this new church I had just recently joined. That was a coincidence. We neither one had met, and I didn't know that. But she sat there and talked to me, and she said, tell me about your grandma. And so I started telling her stories about my grandma. Within an hour, she had me laughing, still crying, but laughing, and we were having so much fun talking about my grandma. So she said to me, look, by you sharing your stories, I now know your grandma. And that will be the case for the rest of your life whenever you talk about her. The new people that haven't met your grandma will know your grandma from your stories. And it is in that spirit that I want to talk to you today about LRC 217. Because we had some fun. We had a lot of fun on my channel, in the chat. One of the things that I think is really important, and you probably hear this from all creators, this is really a two-way street here. it feels like you're knowing me and I'm telling you about me and what I have to say. But when we do live streams, and then of course in the videos in the comment sections, we get to learn about you too. So it is a two-way street. And I don't know that I would be able to do what I do if it wasn't for the people I've met in the chat, and the stories I've learned, and the private messages and the emails. I have received so much support. Well, one of my biggest supporters was LRC217. I'm going to try to do this without crying. As you probably all know, this is hard. But I want to share what I know, what I learned about her. The other part, besides it being a two-way street for creators to subs and subs back to creators, there is the subs to subs relationships. And you see that all over the place. Because we're sort of like-minded, we are interested in similar things, we see each other in other chats and make conversation. It's why this medium is so much fun. So I did some sister wife coverage this last season of Sister Wives, and literally the first, 20 minutes, half hour would be about sister wives. But then inevitably we would end up in a different topic. And the first one I'm going to talk about, because this mattered to me so much, it was my first live stream after my public humiliation with BX Beast Boy. And I was nervous to come on, but I knew my subject, so I'll talk about my subject. Well, because of it was only a couple days earlier that it had happened, a lot of people were still talking in chat and supporting me, and we were asking questions and back and forth. So I was sharing with everyone how I was a fan of BX, and retro television was one of the things, amongst others, but that was one of the things I liked. And so we got started talking about retro television. And to say it got silly is an understatement. We had so much fun, laughing and telling stories. And you could kind of see the different age groups based on what television shows we would be talking about. And I'm 63 years old, and I can kind of tell when the people I'm talking with are similar, because you wouldn't know the way, there's no way you would be able to talk about the same exact shows, movie stars, music, teen idols. It just kind of happens, right? So the first night, since it was unexpected, we just chattered and had a great time. But I told everybody to come back next time, because I was going to bring a few things to show you what an absolute dork I really am. And so I did. I brought my, that night I brought my Lennon Sisters paper dolls. And we had so much fun. The assignment for everybody in the chat was to come back and tell me now. Think about it. What was your favorite show, and what was your favorite actor or actress? So I am able to go through my chats, and I was able to, it was hard to do, took me a while, but to be able to share with you her personality the best I can, since I never met her. But to say her and I had a lot in common is a huge understatement, as you're about to hear. So I'm going to do that part first. Then I'm going to share with you our road trip, which it goes off the rails at that point. But as far as she knew all the shows everyone was talking about, and she would share what she liked. And I know that her favorite show was The Partridge Family. And I know that David Cassidy was her teen idol and was hung on her bedroom walls. You see, I brought my Bobby Sherman album that night, and Bobby Sherman was all over my walls. David Cassidy was there too, but Bobby Sherman was my heartthrob. And so she was sharing about David Cassidy. Well, of course, I completely understood, as most everyone in the chat that night did, because we were a similar age group. Now, the people that were younger were adding and chiming in their stuff, but because we have children, we could relate to that too, which was awesome. Absolutely awesome. She also loved Dynasty, which was a drama. Oh man, back in the day, Dallas, Knots Landing, and Dynasty. I mean, we lived for this stuff. It was like, it was, I don't know what today's show would be similar, but yeah, it was something. So everybody, of course, related to all of that as well. And she shared, all the shows. Archie, she loved Archie Bunker, Jefferson's Good Times. I mean, it was one after the next. The Donna Reed show. Johnny Quest. And she knew. I mean, that was one of them. I was like, okay, we are pretty close here in age. And the other people in chat, I should probably write that down, because several people knew. So you can kind of tell, right? And sometime there, we then were moving from shows to music. And what Laurie and I had in common was concerts. I go to concerts more than I do anything. That's my thing. And I think it was hers too. She shared her first concert was Kiss. Wow. My first concert was Rick Springfield, but to be able to go to Kiss, that's pretty cool. Her last concert was Elton John. Wow. Look at the music range there. She saw Styx and Cher. She said 30 plus times she had been to Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. She loved them. She just loved them. And then I told everybody how I'm a parrot head, and lots of people, young people especially, don't know what that means. And Laurie, of course, did. She goes, "Oh, I have all of Buffett's CDs." And sorry. Her bucket list was to go to Jimmy Buffett's Manatee Sanctuary in Florida. Yeah, pretty cool. Save those manatees, and she appreciated that. Do you see how we really get to know each other? it's just amazing the things going back through my chat that I was able to, and this is true of so many more of you. And what's ironic, or maybe it's not, some of my closest pals here on YouTube were also her closest pals. Police Wife Life is one of my besties, and I know this has hit her hard, and my heart breaks for her. And she's, what did they say to each other? Sister from another mister. That was in my chat. Laurie was saying that to Police Wife Life, and I saw Police Wife Life talk about that in Charlotte's chat the other day. So there's the connections. So with the shows and the music, and well, this I love too. She'd seen Miley Cyrus and Jonas Brothers because of her daughter. I too saw Jonas Brothers because of my daughter. What's the chances, right? I mean, a lot of people have seen them, but there was just so many things as I went through there. It's like losing a piece of all of us. And that's what's happened. I think that's what this community has been feeling. We lost a piece of us because we knew her and we appreciated her so much. I also want to share that during the BX thing happened the night before my birthday. So, yeah. And Laurie was one of the very first people to reach out to me to tell me, oh, hon, I'm so sorry. She also liked BX and didn't know why he was acting like this. And, you know, she was, of course, there to console me. So it was, you know, shame on him and all that. I don't really want to say that right now. That's not where I want to go with this, because that's not fair. She's not here to answer what I'm saying, so I'm not going to say that. But she was very supportive to me, as of many of you were at the time. But it just says a lot about her character. She didn't have to reach out to me like that, and she did. So I will never forget how supportive she was as a friend to a friend. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, there was a couple more things in the music part. She, she has an 8x10 signed photograph from Kenny Rogers. He had kissed her hand. Like, wow, right? Pretty big deal. And she has the picture. She also has her whole collection of Holly Hobbies. Remember those dolls? Those, and I'm not sure, she didn't share if they were ceramic or more of the, you know, the plastic type, but she said she's kept her collection, which now I'm sure are in the hands of her daughter, which is lovely, just lovely. So I want to also share the night in chat where we went nuts and we're having the best time. We were creating a road trip. And on our road trip, we were coming up with the name. We were coming up where we needed to go, because we want to get to one of the Duggars, any of the Duggars, to have them know what's going on here from KJ. So, police wife life was going to rent the RV, and we had come up with Sherry Landscaping, M. Maloney M, Kentucky Girl, Jilly, me, and Julie, sorry, from Australia. We made a joke how, well, now that's a longer road trip. We're going to go over there. But we had road treats, and Laurie has all the camping supplies and the extra porta potty, and we named our trip, or at least our RV, the Moral Compass, because we all have one and KJ doesn't. So I thought that was pretty apropos. And when we were talking about all this, Laurie said, well, we need to have a name, ourselves, because she wanted to write a letter to the Duggars so we could get a proper invite to their house. I mean, I can't recreate that night, but we had so much fun. And I wish we would have went on that trip. I know we were goofing off. Some of us were, at least I know I was partially, yeah, I think we should do this. I really do. I'll find the time. And I think we would have loved it. And now, how this has turned out, I wish we would have went. I really wish we would have went. Trying to think if I covered everything that I wanted to say to everybody. I know there are several creators on here that knew Laurie better than I, or longer than I. Little Red, Charlotte. But I'm just grateful that I got to know her and to be able to say she was a friend to me. I hope I was a friend to her. One of the things, and that's why I titled this, if you saw my thumbnail, she repeatedly asked the chat, I should say, who was it that said, "Good night, sweetheart, good night"? And I went through my chat with a fine-tooth comb, and I couldn't find anyone answered that. It's like, I guess we all sort of thought, sort of knew, but couldn't remember. So in the last couple days, I have Googled the heck out of it. And for Laurie, I'm going to leave it, "Good night, sweetheart, good night." I believe it could have been, since we were talking about television, where George Burns and Gracie Allen, he'd tell her, "Good night, Gracie." No, say "Good night, Gracie." She'd say, "Good night, Gracie," which was adorable. Or Jimmy Durante would say, "Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are." Those were their sign-offs on their shows, their TV shows. So I don't want to say goodbye to Laurie. I just want to say good night. We all loved you, and we're going to miss you. I hope you all stay safe We've built a pretty nice community here. I love you all.